On immigration, is there anything that you think should be general policies nations and cities, communities, should be considering to get the best out of people in a new economic environment?
Well, the data I've seen suggests that more than half the startups in Silicon Valley were started by people who were foreign-born, born outside the United States, as I was, for that matter. And so that's one of the great strengths of the United States, is they've been able to attract creative people from all over the world to help not just do startups, but to do scientific breakthroughs and contribute in the arts in lots of other ways. This has been wonderful for the United States to bring these people together. I think you can make a case it's also good for the world, because many of those people are more productive in the milieu where they are near each other. These urban environments often facilitate that. Wonderful as digital technologies are, email and other technologies for sharing ideas, there's still a lot of things that can really be done much better face to face. So I'd like to see us do even more to increase the free flow of people and ideas across boundaries. Ideas are often inside of people's heads, and it's going to often be better to give people a chance to work side by side to each other in urban environments than to have them have to communicate digitally.
How would you think, from your vantage point, cities can take better advantage of their density, whether it's public spaces or sharing technologies or collaborating among different sorts of organizations?
Yeah. Just as at MIT, the same thing is true for cities, that getting people to be near each other, and you get what economists call externalities from these idea sharing events. That is one of the great virtues of a university and of a city. And unfortunately, it's not something that technology can replace, at least in our generation.
What should cities, businesses, people be thinking about to land on their feet and prosper as the second machine age evolves?
Well, what we're seeing is that a lot of routine information processing work is being automated, and increasingly routine physical work as well. What's going to be in more demand are a number of areas. One is creative work, inventive work. A second is interpersonal interactions and relationships. And those are areas where cities can excel. In particular, bringing people together can stoke creativity.
There's a feeling that I have for a few years that all of us, in a sense, the Andy Warhol moment has arrived. We can all be innovators, creators in this brave new world.
Absolutely. I think we are entering a world where, if not everyone, almost everyone is going to be part of the creative class and contributing things. And some of those creations will be incredibly valuable and help billions of people. Others won't turn out to be so valuable. I mean, you go to YouTube and you see a whole panoply of different people doing different creative things. And I say that's great, that the crowdsourcing of ideas and creativity is a wonderful thing. It doesn't mean that every single one is going to be a blockbuster or even interesting, but some of those apps and some of those videos and some of those other types of creative contributions will catch on. Really, the best way is to let 1,000 flowers bloom or 1 billion flowers bloom, try lots of different ideas, and see which ones end up being successful. We have an increasingly open innovation system. And as the routine work gets automated, there's going to be more opportunity for people to contribute that kind of creativity.
Keynes wrote in 1930 that by around now, humans should have solved our economic problem, which is subsistence. Are we seeing signals now in the coming of the second machine age that the shift, we're actually living through the shift from subsistence to self-fulfillment more?
We continue to work quite a large number of hours, or many of us do. There are lots of new things we can buy that the lords and ladies of the 1930s couldn't buy. But also, we've had a bifurcation where there are many people looking for work who can't find work. Many of their skills simply aren't in demand. And that is the big challenge that we need to face now, is how can we get more people engaged so that although that we're creating a lot of wealth, we don't have an economic system right now that leads to shared prosperity to the extent that I think most of us would like to see.
Can we have that? Has the world ever had that?
the world has had that. There used to be more, not just shared prosperity, but more economic mobility in the United States.
Do you think we should be readjusting our mindsets on how much we need, how much consumer goods we need, how much time we need to work, or how much GDP, how much growth and what growth is?
Well, those are values questions, and different people will answer that in different ways. Myself, I think that we could do a lot. We could realistically set the goal of essentially eliminating severe poverty in the next 20 years.
It seems like we could do that. It seems like we have the riches and the knowledge to do that, but do we have the incentives on any level?
That's a great point. I do think we have the wealth and we have the technology for doing that. One of the interesting features, someone might say a bug of the capitalist system, for all its wonders, is that it gives everybody a vote based on how much income they have. If somebody has zero income, then an entrepreneur has essentially zero incentive to provide any goods and services or develop new inventions that are useful to that person.
If you were to make one or two changes in Boston, and as the second machine age evolves, what would you think about?
Well, I think that it's great the way Boston has a vibrant cultural and academic community, and I think it's one of our real competitive advantages, and I hope we would work hard to preserve and boost that further, encourage more entrepreneurship. The physical infrastructure could use a lot of improving, and part of it is by making investments in transportation. Part of it, I think, is we now have technology to have much smoother traffic flow, for instance. Having congestion pricing, having roadways that respond to, having commuters that respond to incentives, I think that could do a lot to have the flow of traffic go much more smoothly. And of course, new technologies could help with that as well. So I think there's some things we can do on the education side, on the infrastructure side, that would continue to make Boston a magnet for creative and intellectual leaders.